and Vugu Nayosi means Black Power in Kiswahili, Black Revolutionary Now. Just wanted to bring you this video on this white supremacist named Erik Prince. Who is Erik Prince? Erik Prince had a private military group called Blackwater. Blackwater used to get billions of dollars for military weapons and military technology to go into war-torn countries, and in this case, continent like Africa, and exploit the minerals and resources out of Africa. This white supremacist have a video that has gone viral recently where he is saying if African leaders doesn't get their act together, we need to recolonize them. Yes, family, you heard right. He said we need to recolonize Africa. Check out this video and we will come back and discuss it.
All this talk of illegal migration in Europe, in the United States, it ultimately comes down to a contest of what is governance. Who is governed, which countries are governed well, and if so many of these countries around the world are incapable of governing themselves, then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of actually
All right, hold on a second. Hold on. People on the left are going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Erik Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely. Yes. Enough. Because if you go to these countries and you see how they suffer under absolutely corrupt, made-up governments that are just criminal syndicates.
Made-up governments.
The people of Africa, the people of Latin America, a lot of them deserve better. Now, some countries are really getting it together. Look at what El Salvador did. Bukele, murder capital of Latin America, he said, no more. Now El Salvador is safer than Prince William County.
And he took
just
all
south
the...
of Washington.
Wow. Yes, you heard right. You see, we need to actually hear it from these folks' mouth. And when we, African Black people, the resistance of white supremacy, the Black media, the conscious ones who bring you information about white supremacists like Erik Prince, you understand exactly what we're trying to say. Some people will say, well, this is a conspiracy, blah, blah, you don't know what you're talking about. And these people are so bold now, they're actually telling you in your face. They are not hiding how they feel about us. He say we need to put the colonial hat back on and govern a continent like Africa. And he say all of Africa is incapable of governing itself. But this white supremacist won't mention the Berlin Conference, which take place in 1884 and 1885, where European slice up the continent of Africa and go into Africa and claim countries as if it was their own. They ain't talking about all the wars they start in Africa, all the colonial mercenaries who went in there and unalive and genocide millions of people and take their land, force governments who they put in place, democratic government, so-called independence, and give them alternative motive. If you don't do this, this will happen to you. So when we see certain countries in Africa right now that can govern itself, for example, when you look at the Sahel region, which we know Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, I love it, who form a defense alliance to defend itself from specifically France and all the black sellouts who want to do France dirty work. France have exploited over $500 billion a year out of 14 African countries. So I guess Erik Prince won't mention that, right? He won't mention the so-called independence these countries get in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, where they are obligated to pay colonial tax. He's not going to mention that. He's not going to mention that. He's not going to mention the doctrine of discovery, which went into the Caribbean and South America and Africa and claimed land. These Europeans had a document that they signed themselves to say, we come across land, this is my land, I don't care who's on it. He's not going to mention that. But he have the audacity to say African leaders can govern themselves. When you destroy a continent and destroy a people way of life and put in a government that you could control so you could benefit from all the resources and minerals and wealth out of Africa. Of course, these white supremacists will never mention that because it doesn't make them look good in a certain light if they do. So they have to show face and have to draw a negative propaganda as if these African people just wake up one day and can govern themselves. The colonial residue and stink of Europeans is still present today. We just don't see it. But it's still alive today. Go look at France and all the relationship, colonial relationship they have with all the French speaking countries. So you could see that Erik Prince is full of BS. But what do we expect from these white supremacists? exactly what he said. Peace and black power, black revolutionary now.